All right, we got a very special kind of emergency, kind of random Twitter beef episode of Leventinita going on. As you guys know, my name is Calypso, and we have a special guest today. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the crazy people out there.
I'm Daniel Solana. I'm one of the co-hosts of This Is Football podcast and also Inter Miami fan for the last 4 years, although a lot of folks don't tend to believe that.
All right. I wonder why. But anyways, we'll get into that. If the audio is kind of weird and kind of wonky, it's okay. We're kind of just doing this on a shoestring budget. It was kind of almost a last minute thing. So we're gonna try this out, see how it works, see how everybody likes it. Hopefully, we get some good feedback. But anyways, this isn't gonna be like a crazy formal debate or anything like that. We're just mostly gonna chit chat, talk about things, talk about differences, stuff like that. So, actually, I'll let you get started. Is there anything you have any questions for me about or anything, or do you want me to get started? How do you want to do this?
I mean, it's your show, so I mean, I think I'll let you take the reins.
Okay.
The only thing I'll let you know is, I have a couple friends in Vice City as well. I don't think I've been lucky enough to meet you guys out there the last two games that I've been
Mm-hmm.
in that, but I know like Luis Carrizo, I've known him for a super long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one of your members, Patricio, on our show
Mm,
at the beginning, one of our first couple shows. So
that's great.
yeah, we've overlapped here and there. So
That's good. That's good. Hey, we were all one big happy family, are we? All one
tell you
big
one thing,
destructive
man.
family. Go ahead.
Your tailgates are fun. I'll tell you that. Like
Hey,
your
hey,
tailgates are second to none.
hey. We try to make it as fun as possible. That's why a lot of people are there. You know, a lot of people are there for the party. Most. Hey, I don't mind that at all. People like to party in South Florida. It is what we do.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some things. So most people, as at least from what I've seen and what I've heard people talking about, and so what I've seen from your show, because I have seen a few episodes of your show, is heavy emphasis on wanting South American players. Can you go into more detail about that, or you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, thanks for listening. We appreciate any listen that we can get. So, we definitely focus on on the Miami aspect of it, but we try to have incorporate all the MLS and all soccer onto our show. So we appreciate the listen. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, me personally, I can't speak for everybody else on the show, but I'll speak for myself. I always have a heavy emphasis, or I've always emphasized Inter Miami bringing players from South America or Central America, mainly Latin America, mostly because, me personally, that's where I watch most of my soccer. I watch a lot of Uruguayan, Argentine, Brazilian, Ecuadorian soccer. I do watch Liga MX a lot because I know that there's a lot of comparisons between Liga MX and MLS, and I do want to be informed, when I have my debates with people. So, when I do say things, although some folks might think, I'm kind of talking, out of my butt. I do watch a lot of soccer and stuff. So yeah, my preference is for the South American type of player. I think for for the league that we have for the MLS, it's the type of it's just almost like a pipeline. It's you've
Mm-hmm.
got a pipeline of these young Latin American players who are ready to take the next step, but are not getting the chance on their team in South America. And they could get that opportunity here. I mean, you can see that with Thiago Almada. Kid's 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about him being already, in week four, MVP. And everybody's got to hold their horses. We got a lot of weeks ahead of us, but I mean, he's playing out of his mind. You've
Yes.
got other players as well that are, young guys that have come from South America. Diego Fagundes, who has been almost a lifetimer MLS because he played, at New England Revolution, and now he's at Austin. That's another guy, a young South American who came up, and he played very well for New England when he was there. So that's kind of why I lean more towards that. So it's not a hate, versus European players versus South American players. It's just my preference,
Mm-hmm.
and just because of what I've seen historically in the MLS, that's kind of what has been the footprint of what works for teams. And like you mentioned on our show, we've had guests on, who have echoed those sentiments. So, you know, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. That's my opinion. But that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, of
We're here to
course.
we're here to talk about that.
So I'll kind of cut to the like almost a chase, but kind of the thing that put your guys on my radar is one of the things that I heard. I believe you guys. I forget his name. Is Louis something or other. I forget his name.
Yeah, I 100% remember, and I can remember exactly the episode you're talking about. So we had
Yeah,
Luis Omar Tapia on. He's a
that's the
very, very well known commentator over at TUDN and Univision. I mean, the guy's a world class commentator. He's been, done World Cup, done UEFA Champions League, Europa League. He's done it all. So I mean, coming from him, and you're probably referring to the comment where he says, I don't want to go to the stadium and see a Ukrainian player.
yes.
So, I'll definitely, I'll comment on that. So, it's not so much that we don't want to go there and see a Ukrainian player, but I think what he was trying to say is, maybe, maybe if you're gonna bring a player from Europe, 31-year-old player from Europe, it should be a marquee player, somebody not like an unknown or somebody who, at the end of the day, everybody turned out to be wrong. Kristoff has been probably our best defender
Hmm.
other than Negri. So, people are entitled to be wrong. People can say things and all that, but I think, his interpretation or my interpretation of what he was trying to say was, if we're going to bring somebody from Europe that's, 20, plus 25, 26, 27 years old, let it be some of these guys who might still be in their prime, like an Insigne, kind of like, what Toronto did with, like I said, Insigne, Bernadeschi, which we saw them this weekend. Bernadeschi was a terror for us this weekend. They did the same thing with Jovinko. So we've had players who have come in their prime, or even a little bit after their prime, and they've done well. Look at Nico Lodeiro in the Seattle.
Hmm.
Look at David Villa when he came to play at NYCFC. So we've had those types of players come over from Europe or come over from South America at an older age. It's more so, you know, if your choice is to bring a 31-year-old European who not many people know of, or 22, 23-year-old Latin American who you could probably get for half the price, you know, why not do that and make the investment, and then maybe you make something off of the return off of it. That's kind of what, my interpretation of what he was saying.
Sure, and you're entitled to have your own interpretation. Like I mentioned, I listened to the whole. Well, I should say the whole thing because I didn't listen to every single part of it. I listened to the parts that were relevant to what I wanted to hear, like the talk about the Inter Miami. I listened to the beginning. Yeah, like I said, I called it out. I said it was the dog shit take because I think that's stupid. Saying that you don't want anyone of a specific nationality on a team, I think those he could have definitely worded that better if that's what he honestly thinks. People are calling it xenophobic. I don't even like, not even if it was, that's not even the worst part to me. I think it's just a stupid thing to say, just in general, to say that you don't want someone of a specific nationality. Now, if you want to say, "Oh,
Absolutely.
I don't want this guy because I don't think he has the right acumen or the right experience," that's one thing. But to say that you specifically don't want Ukrainians, you don't want Europeans, and that we have a Hispanic culture, because that's another thing that he mentioned was he brought up the culture down here and specifically, the people down here, people in Doral, the Venezuelans, Dominicans, who whatever nationality you have. That's where a lot of people, including myself, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. I'm okay being wrong. That's where a lot of people had a problem with the stuff that was being said on your show. Is like, well, no, that's a really bad take. And like I said, I listened to most of it, and he kind of harped on, well, we don't know who this guy is, and this guy is Ukrainian, and we shouldn't have Ukrainians, so we should be catering towards the South American demographic. I think that's dumb. We should get players who remember we're still under sanctions till this is the last year of sanctions, so we beggars can't be choosers right now. I don't think we can really be picky about. Well, no, we have to get this South American player who's probably going to up the price, and simply because it's South American. I'm pretty sure you've seen that meme where it's like he's English and he's like 150,000. He's Brazilian. He's another, and the price goes up based on the flag. And that's kind of a true thing because that is what happens. Oh shit, he's English and he's young. Oh damn, he's gonna be an English guy. He's gonna be the next David Beckham. So that's where I feel like he kind of the statement was kind of weird that we don't want Ukrainians, and not even on top of that, even talking about the demographics here, there are Eastern Europeans that live here, like in Sunny Isles and stuff like that. Like
Absolutely. I went to the first game, and there was a whole kind of mini section of Ukrainians with the Ukrainian flag, and I know that Sergey even bought tickets
yes,
for
he
a
bought
bunch
like
of Ukrainians
he
to
bought
come
like
to the
200
game.
tickets.
So
Yeah,
absolutely. So look, again, going back to the comment. Was it a misinterpretation? That's what I think. I don't think that's what he meant to say. Again, you would have to ask him.
of course.
What his take was. The take on the show is is, as far as representing this is football and what we're about is we're about bringing players in who are going to help Inter Miami. So like I've said on the show multiple times, and I've been called out on the show and on Twitter, and on multiple places. Look, like I said earlier, Sergi's been, in my eyes, the second best defender after Negri. I was wrong to say we shouldn't have brought him. He's been great. Would I had preferred a younger player? Absolutely. But is he doing his job for what it is? Yeah. And I can't fault it. So, it is what it is. So, I understand where folks are coming from and saying, well, we shouldn't say something like that. I 100% agree with you, and we at TIF, we're not about that. We're not about isolating, one sort of crowd. Um, I will tell you one thing though. We did have some of our counterparts from the former Capital podcast, Soccer Capital podcast over that they do St. Louis City,
Mm-hmm.
and we did ask them if their sporting director um, purposely put their team together the way he did, to identify with the city, and he said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that he said that because you said that, you kind of brought that up earlier in this conversation, and I do think it's important for the team to identify with the city that it's in. So, I do think it's important for Miami, when maybe once the team moves to Miami or whatever, to have a fairly heavy Latin presence on the team. And right now we do have a lot of Latin Americans from all sorts. We have Argentinians, we used to have a Colombian, we have Venezuelans, we have an Ecuadorian. So I'm not saying that we don't. Again, we do. But I'm just saying that it does help to identify with the culture in here and stuff. And I mean, I've seen it in other cities that I've visited and seen it with other teams. Um, it does help out.
Okay. So, and I've seen some comments that you mentioned. I want to ask you now about how do you feel the scouting, mostly how Chris Henderson has been dealing with because I think he's been with us for 2 years now, I believe. I think it's been like 2 years since he's become sporting director. How do you feel his business strategy and how he's been scouting? How do you think he's been handling that?
So, I mean, I think I've been pretty vocal. I mean, last year I was very very negative towards Chris Henderson and what he was doing. Um, I, definitely I understand the sanctions. But I'm not like I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm an expert of the salary cap. For that, you got maybe call Austin Robillard. He's the salary cap expert over at THO. So maybe you ask him about that. But I was hard on Henderson. I don't think I didn't agree with a lot of the signings. And I
Which ones
thought
in
he could have done
particular,
a
if you don't mind me asking?
well, personally, I wasn't a big fan of Gregory. I definitely wasn't a huge fan of Mota, and I was very, 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 very vocal about that. I had done a lot of research on him once we had been in talks about signing him. I had gone onto the message boards over at Santos and done my best to translate Portuguese into Spanish and read my best of what I could about him. And
Mm-hmm.
personally, I think he was a good fit for the team. Still don't think he's a good fit for the team. So it is what it is. I also didn't really understand the Emerson signing. The signings that I did like. I love the Lassiter signing.
Okay.
Um, at the time, I love the Campana signing. It really, really stinks that he's been injured,
Mm-hmm.
because I think him and Joseph could have been a really fatal pairing
Mm-hmm.
up top this year. So I'm really looking forward to him coming back. But I mean, those are some of the signings that I did like this year. I can tell you, my favorite signing is Negri by far.
Mm-hmm.
He's been an absolute rock. I
And it
think
fits into what you wanted, that kind of signing, anyways, right?
absolutely. But can you see the difference between what we had last year? We had look at what we had last year at left back available options.
Mm-hmm.
We played McVay, who's not a left back. We played him out of position, probably 3/4 of the year. We had Noah Allen, who was healthy and played at MLS Next Pro, who should have just been starting all season, in my opinion. If Gibbs wasn't going to start, you should have just started Noah
He
Allen
he
because
did get destroyed at that game in Austin, though. I think that's what happened to him.
Yeah, but that's one game. So you bring him down to MLS Pro for 1 or 2 games, you build up his confidence again, and then you get him back out there. If not, how are you gonna, how are we ever gonna know that any of these kids are gonna play if they don't get out there? Look, I love Bryce Duke, but I said it on the show last week. Bryce Duke was not the right person to start this week. He's
He
not,
didn't have a
especially.
there wasn't much of a choice for that though.
Well, of course, 100% there was. You start Victor Ulloa, or you move to a 5-2-3 or a 5-3-2. We're going into a very very crazy atmosphere in Toronto, super cold. You just lose your best player. You go to try to protect yourself and try to get a counterattack. You don't go and literally lose your center mid because you have no five in there anymore. You put Bryce Duke, who's not a five. You have Mota in there, who's not a five either. You lose your entire midfield. So again, by the way, I love the Bryce Duke trade that he did. So again, going back to the Chris Henderson. So again, I was critical last year. I think he's done a better job with his signings this summer or this winter than he did last winter. Sorry, I'm on the Euro calendar,
You're good. Yeah, no biggie.
But so I think he's done a better job this year and last year. I'm excited to see what he's going to do next year. I know he has a great track record. I'm willing to give him a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was one of the things I mentioned. How I've seen tweets of yours, and just back when you were criticizing him more, and I'm pretty sure I brought this up when I was speaking to you on Twitter about how he's won with teams. I think the one I brought up was 2019. I think it was, where if you look at the squad, and there was like almost everybody was almost from a different country. You had people like Jovan Jones, I'm Trinidadian, and you had people like Jovan Jones. You had Roman Torres, who scored the game-winning goal. Like you had all these different people because I've watched Henderson for a while, and he remember he played for Miami Fusion back in the day. He played a season down here, so he knows MLS backwards and forwards, and he's been MLSing for decades. He's an old head, so that's why I felt more trust in him rather than. And that's kind of how I am. I'm more optimistic. I think a lot more in the long term than even a lot of people does. And even my co-host Bernie admits this. He thinks very short term. Like we got to win now. And I'm always thinking 5-7 years ahead. That's why I'm so happy with the youth signings that we've been having. Like how we just signed Destin from the academy to our MLS Next Pro. Then we have Borjanen, who scored a goal, which I think he should be playing more. I think he should be on the bench more.
I 100%. Well, I mean, it stinks that he was out these last few games. I think he would have got a lot more playing time, especially in New York, especially in Toronto. Like, I think we can see that Joseph isn't ready for 90, and Borgelin is ready, man. He's ready to be unleashed. He's a big boy. I was there that first game, and he's a big boy. I saw the goal. I was behind the net, so
yeah, he
like
knows
him,
what he's doing.
Look, hey, but going back to your comment though, the two players that you named, Jovan Jones, right, goes back to not South America, but it's definitely Caribbean, Latin American, and Roman Torres, Panamanian, Central American. So it does go back to my kind of what I was saying, which is it's players who are kind of in the Central America, Latin America, Caribbean, those types of players identify with our, I would love to have a couple Haitian guys on the team. Are you kidding me? You know how many people would come out and watch the game?
I agree with you. I've been saying that for years.
I don't know if how much you were into the soccer culture in South Florida, but did you ever go to the Copa Latina back in the day?
No, I did not. No.
Okay, so Copa Latina, they used to host it at Ten Hendrick Stadium in Hialeah at Mylander Park. So Haiti used to always bring 2 or 3 teams, and every time Haitian team played, there was always one team that was called Selección Haití, which was always ex-Haiti like national team players. They were in their late 30s and 40s. These guys were still good, Then there was the Haiti All-Stars, which were like the Haitian players that lived in South Florida, and whatever. Every time any one of those Haitian teams played, that stadium was slammed.
Absolutely.
Dude, it's great marketing, and that's what I'm about. That's what I'm like. Dude, put a bring a couple of Venezuelans, and you'll have half a Doral going up there and watching those guys play. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. I mean, I saw it, and it was the only game that I had gone to before this season. At the game at FIU, I saw it when we played Miami FC. You know how many Ecuadorians were there with an Ecuador flag just because Campana was playing? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's great.
That's kind of what I'm. That when I say I want to aim to that talent or to that area or to that kind of player, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, identifies more with who we are as Miami or who we are as South Florida.
Yeah, of course. I agree with you that there's definitely should be some marketing to be done there. But my whole issue is that I just don't think that should be the only thing. Like even looking
No,
at looking at the squad now, that squad I was talking about. You have Stephen Fry, who's from Switzerland. You have a Korean. You do have Ramon Torres. You have Kevin Leadham, who I completely forgot about Kevin Leadham. He's Dutch. So you have a crazy mixture. The only two multiple nation people I see here. There's 3 Americans on this squad, but everybody else
Jordan
from
Morris.
yeah,
Jordan Morris.
everybody else from a completely different country. So that's why I think like it could definitely work. I don't think you should have only a team of only South Americans. We're not gonna be Athletic Bilbao who only or like I think Americas does this too.
No, Chivas.
Chivas
only has Mexican
yeah,
players.
Chivas only has Mexican
allow
players.
players. Yep.
That in that situation, it works for them because of how the culture is and because you have 50 million teams and you have such good support. I think it works for them, but I don't think a situation like that would work specifically for us, especially in MLS where I don't think you can afford to just only get what teams players from a specific region or of a specific language. You're gonna have to pick. You got to kind of get what you can get basically because it's MLS.
I agree with you.
We're a sellers league. You got to get what you get.
I agree, and let me tell you, I think if Bernie was here, maybe the conversation would be maybe a little bit lighter or whatever. Only in the sense that him and I maybe come from a similar culture where you said you look more towards the long run and he looks more towards the short run, and I look more at the short run, and I think that's a culture thing. I believe Bernie, is he from Colombia?
He's Cuban.
Am I incorrect? He's Cuban.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I'm from Uruguay. He's Cuban. We're Latin cultures. Me personally. I mean, I follow my teams in Uruguay, and like if we're not winning after the third game, I want my coach out. Like that's just how it is. And the fans are putting pressure, to get the coach out. And actually, my coach actually just fired my team just fired their coach this week, and after four games that he hadn't lost. He had 1-2 and tied 2, and they still fired him. So you can see the type of pressure that these types of coaches and teams are under, and I would love to see that type of atmosphere, around the MLS. I know that something similar, has been popping up with some teams out on the West Coast with one of the LA teams. I know there was something that came out. Did you see that?
It was
a letter that came out with Orlando City.
I wasn't sure, and I kind of. I wasn't sure what exactly they were even asking for. Like, was it the smoke thing, or I couldn't tell what they wanted.
Oh, so I think what had happened was they had told their, I guess their communications department or whoever at Orlando City, their front office, like, hey, these people from Tigres are gonna come and they're gonna throw fireworks and they're gonna throw smoke bombs, and they were kind of like, yeah, whatever, and they came and they actually did it. Difference was when the Orlando City people did it, they got in trouble.
We did too.
We did too. Exactly. So all they're saying is, hey, you let these people come and do it, but you get us in trouble. You use us for marketing. We go out there every game, we support you, but at the end of the day, you don't listen to us. You don't do anything. So, they kind of gave the middle finger to the front office and said we're only doing it for the players. I can understand that. So,
I mean, to give my opinion real quick on that, I mean. And this is the same thing I mentioned when it happened when it happened on our side. And what I said was, I don't care what stadium you're in America, they're gonna kick you out for shit like that. This is America. Like, I understand how in South America it's gonna be different, but this is in South America.
100%. You're right.
So if you're gonna light fireworks in an American stadium, I don't care what stadium you're in, they're gonna kick you the fuck out. So expect that, and don't really get mad at that. Like, that's not even like a team thing. That's literally the cops. Like, it's literally illegal to do that shit. You can get arrested for it. So like, my whole thing is, okay, why get mad at that? If a bunch of Tigres fans get kicked out, what are they gonna do? Get mad? No, they're just not. They're never coming back. So who cares?
Right.
And they said the same thing about when we had a game with it was like Millonarios on a different team. How they had a friendly and they were setting off fireworks. Oh, but you let them do that. Well, they're not coming back. If they get kicked out, they're like, okay, fuck you. I'm gonna go home. But if we do it, we get kicked out. We live here. We have to come to these games. We pay season tickets. So yeah, they're gonna kick us out, and we're gonna care. But it's not gonna care if they get kicked out. But
I mean, the rules should apply to everybody the same way. So that's all I'm saying. What I don't agree with is they tried to barge into the manager's
that's dumb.
I don't agree with that, and that's where that's where I draw the line, especially with Pareja, he's a fantastic coach. So that's where I draw the line. I'm all about like, chanting against the front office or whatever. I'm all about that, putting pressure. But when you start like trying to come into press conferences, stuff like that, I'm not about that. That's not right.
I
So.
get you. Speaking of coaches, so I was gonna ask you this earlier, but we kind of looped back around in the perfect way. How do you feel? What are your thoughts on Phil Neville? How do you think he's doing?
So, I mean, again, last year I was extremely hard on him. I think he should have been sacked. I don't think the team showed any progress at all last
At
year in
all?
terms of play until Chris Henderson traded for Pozuelo, which I think changed the entire season. Once Pozuelo came in, I think it kind of reactivated Higuain. It kind of reactivated the team, and I really think Pozuelo's single-handedly kind of got us into the playoffs. That's my personal opinion. So, if I had been the GM, I would have sacked him last year. I'm not. Henderson puts his trust into the gaffer. This year, first couple games, I've been very vocal. He's been fantastic. He's changed. I said it. I was talking with my buddies in our group chat, and I was like, it's almost like Phil Neville went into a time machine, or into some sort of machine in the winter and came back like a new guy. And now like he wants to sort of attack and like play this attacking mentality and high press and you know it's unbelievable. Like it's fantastic. I love it. And then I don't know, we get to New York and Gregory goes down and now we kind of see the same Inter Miami in Toronto and it's like, oh, is Phil going to be able to work himself out of this? We'll see. We got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He came out strong at the beginning. We got to give him a chance to work this stuff out, and hopefully they can get him some help.
That's
We
kind of
need
how.
a, we need
That's
we
kind
need
of
a
how I
five, man.
felt. That's kind of how I felt last year. I like I said, I'm long term. I wanted to give him at least one more year, just to because he came into a weird situation where Diego Alonso had been fired, and he came into a team that was nothing. Where he just was handing the team and was basically giving a shit sandwich like make it taste good. He was like, hey, just do this, and then we got rid of 19 players, so he got a clean slate. So that's why I was more forgiving of him to give him another shot. And I actually think he did improve the squad. Yes, that deal with Pozuelo actually helped a lot. That did help a lot. But you kind of before even that happened, you kind of saw slightly improves, especially after he benched Higuain. He had the balls to do that, and I'll always give him credit for that because Higuain's a diva. It's why Carranza left. It's why what's his name, starts with P.
Oh, Pellegrini.
No, Pizarro. He had problems with Pizarro, and it all revolved around Higuain and them not liking him. And I felt like he's a very English, no nonsense kind of guy. He's not going to take any shit. So that's why I felt he did a good job in managing that, talking to the locker room and be like, hey, y'all got to step up or I'm going to bench your ass. And the fact that he wasn't afraid to bench Higuain, even though he was injured, he was kind of injured, but he really benched his ass. I felt that he did a good job there, and that's why I think he should. I was happy that he got more time to actually get his stuff done. And I even said last year, I'm giving him this season, one more season. If we don't make playoffs, especially before I knew that the playoff field got expanded to 9, even before
Right.
that. But even then, I was like, if he doesn't do good this season, then he's out. That's how I felt about it. I felt that he should have been giving at least more time, at least 2 years, to build a squad that he wanted. Because I would give him every excuse in the book, and now he has no excuses for me. At least he has no excuses. If he doesn't get it done this year, if we don't at least make the playoffs this year, especially with an expanded field, then I think he needs to go.
I mean, I think you gotta. Yeah, I mean, I think even before that, we gotta see what happens here. I think Chris, needs to make a move. We gotta bring somebody. We gotta see if maybe we can get somebody. I don't know, from one of these teams that didn't start off right. I know I tweeted out the other day. Maybe we can get Diego Chara from Portland. Portland didn't start off really good this year. Maybe they're willing to trade him. He's an older player, somebody who's like an MLS lifer, and I think he would be very solid there to in our midfield. But if he doesn't get a 5, I mean, he's gonna be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't know if we can wait until the summer, until the summer transfer window over in Europe happens to bring somebody over. So I don't know. We'll see.
So yeah. Any other topics you wanted to talk about real quick before we head out?
Nah, man, not really, man. I've had a good time, man. This is fun. Honestly, like I said from the beginning, I love talking soccer, man.
Yeah, of course. And I know I'm a bit boisterous and a bit obnoxious online, but that's just how I am. I like to be passionate. I like to talk. I like to talk shit. I like to stir the pot. We're all trying to make content here. That's what I'm here for
Hey,
always.
that's cool, man. Because like personally, I like to stir the pot too. I mean, we all, it is what it is. At the end of the day, in the 91st minute, we all hug, so it's all good. So,
It's,
during the 90 minutes, we go at it. At the 91st minute, we all hug. That's how that's how it is. So,
hey, we're all here to make content, aren't we?
I feel you, bro. It is.
All right, man.
It is what it is.
Well, that's gonna be it for now. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. We might do this again. I'll talk to Brandon about it. We'll see how it does. We might have you on again. Hopefully everything goes good, man.
All right, man. I put my referee shirt on just in case.
I saw it. Yeah, I noticed.
Honestly, hey, just before, just in case anybody doubts, man. I had cards in here just in case you asked me some weird stuff, man.
There we go. You were ready. You were set.
I was ready, man. So.
That's good. That's good.
All right, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Take it easy, man. Take care.